Hey everyone, welcome. We're going to do a super quick sprint through one of the most dynamic, really transformative periods in modern Indian history. My goal here is to break down everything you absolutely need to know for your exams. So let's get you fully prepped for whatever comes your way.
So this is really the central question of the whole chapter, right? How on earth did Indian politics change so dramatically in just 23 years? We go from this long stretch of one-party rule to what felt like, well, political chaos. Let's dive in and unpack all of it.
All right, here's our game plan for this revision. We're hitting a new dawn in 77. Then the regional agitations that erupted, Mundal and Mandir politics, super important, the era of coalitions, new economy, and then we'll wrap it all up with my top 10 exam takeaways. Sound good? Let's go.
Okay, first up, a new dawn in 1977. We're talking about the end of an era here. This was a real political earthquake that completely changed the game.
So you've got to remember this. 1977 marks the end of the emergency, and bam, the Janata Party government is formed. This was huge. It was the first time a non-Congress government was in power at the center. It basically sent a message that, hey, single-party dominance isn't a given anymore. But you'll see, by 1980, Indira Gandhi and the Congress Party are back in power. So it was a turbulent few years for sure.
So with the central authority challenged like that, the lid kind of came off on a lot of regional tensions that had been simmering for years. This leads us straight into the turbulent 1980s, where regional agitations just erupted. Let's look at two really important ones.
Okay, first, the Assam movement. This is a classic exam topic. It was led by the All Assam Students Union, or ASU. Now, what was the main issue? Simple. Outsiders. People who had come from neighboring countries. The key demand was to get these outsiders removed to protect local culture, jobs, and resources. And how did it end? Well, it resulted in the Assam Accord, which was signed with Rajiv Gandhi's government in 1985.
Now over in Punjab, things were a bit different. This agitation was led by a section of the Akali Dal, and their initial demands were all about state autonomy. They wanted Chandigarh as the capital, more water from the Bakra Nangal Dam, basically more power for the state. But then, a radical wing emerged, and their demand was way more extreme, a separate six-state called Khalistan.
So what happened next is absolutely crucial. You have to know this term, Operation Blue Star. This was a military operation ordered by the government in 1984. The goal? To flush out militants who had taken refuge inside the Golden Temple, the holiest shrine for Sikhs. This event was, well, it was a turning point with some very heavy, long-lasting consequences.
Okay, pay attention here, because this is a total exam hotspot. A compare and contrast question between the Assam and Punjab agitations is super common. So let's break it down. Core issue in Assam, outsiders and cultural identity. In Punjab, state autonomy and religious identity. Leadership, student-led in Assam, political and religious in Punjab. And the outcome? A political accord in Assam versus military action and a really long conflict in Punjab. See the differences? You got to know them.
All right, moving on. The 1980s also gave rise to two huge, powerful, and often clashing forms of identity politics. These two movements, Mandal and Mandir, would basically define the next decade. 27%. Just remember that number. It's the key to understanding one of the biggest social and political changes of this entire period. Seriously, 27%.
So what is that 27%? It's the Mundal Commission. This was a government commission, and its big recommendation was to reserve 27% of seats in government jobs for other backward classes, or OBCs. When this was implemented in 1990, boom, it brought caste identity right to the center of national politics.
And at the same time, you have the Mandir issue. This refers to the political movement led by the BJP and other groups to build a Ram temple at the site of the Babri Masjid in Ayodhya. So while Mandal politics was mobilizing people based on caste, Mandir politics was mobilizing them based on religious identity.
So let's see how this all connects. With no single party able to get a clear majority anymore, a totally new political reality emerged. Welcome to the era of coalitions.
Okay, here's a key term you have to know how to define. What's a coalition government? It's pretty simple. It's a government formed by a bunch of different political parties, teaming up because no single party got enough seats to win on its own. This is the new rule of power.
And this is a perfect example of what a coalition can look like. The National Front government, which was in power from 1989 to 1990, was formed by several parties working together. But even then, they needed other parties to support them from the outside just to reach that magic majority number.
So coalitions are kind of a double-edged sword, right? On the plus side, they're more representative of all the different viewpoints in the country. And it stops one party from just doing whatever it wants. But the downside is that they can be really unstable and fall apart easily, which can lead to policy paralysis when nobody can agree on anything.
The 90s weren't just about politics changing, though. There were some fundamental shifts happening in India's economy and how the country was governed, too. So let's talk about the new economy and new governance.
Here's another exam hotspot for you: economic liberalization in 1991. India was facing a really bad financial crisis, and this was the solution. It was a major shift in policy to open up the economy to foreign trade and investment. A huge deal.
And at the same time, democracy was getting deeper. What does that mean? Well, the 73rd and 74th constitutional amendments were passed. These were huge. They gave real constitutional power to local self-governments. Panchayats in villages and municipalities in cities. This was all about empowering governance right at the grassroots level.
Okay, here we go. The final sprint. I'm about to give you the top 10 exam takeaways. This is your final rapid-fire revision. You absolutely must remember these points before you walk into that exam hall. Ready?
Let's do this. Points 1 to 5. 1. The 1977 election ended the long era of Congress dominance. 2. The rise of regionalism. Think Assam and Punjab. 3. Operation Blue Star, the Army action in the Golden Temple. 4. The Mandal Commission. That's the 27% reservation for OBCs. And 5. Mandir politics, the Ayodhya dispute, putting religious identity front and center. Got those?
Okay, points 6 to 10. 6. Coalition governments became the new normal. 7. Economic liberalization in 1991, a huge shift. 8. The 73rd and 74th Amendments, empowering local governments. 9. India transformed into a true competitive multi-party system. And number 10, the main theme: everything shifted from one central authority to a much more complex, competitive, and diverse political world. And that's it. You are now officially ready for this chapter.
So here's a final thought for you to chew on, maybe for one of those big mark questions. Did this whole era of turmoil and change actually make Indian democracy stronger or weaker? Think about it. Sure, it brought instability, but it also gave a voice to so many more groups in society. It's a complicated question with no easy answer. All the best for your exams.